All right, it's April 22nd, I think, maybe 23rd, and I rode to Craggy Garden from the Folk Art Center, actually from home, a couple weeks ago, and I did a really quick ride, 18.2 average with, I don't know, 5,000 to 6,000 feet of climbing, so pretty good day. And I've been thinking since then that I want to do an Everesting, and I'm going to use this section from Folk Art Center to Craggy, just above the visitor center, to the parking lot on the top of Craggy, and then back. And I think I'll have to do 8 laps plus a little bit. So I'm going to do 2 laps today. I rode from home, which is about 10 miles, and then I'm going to ride 2 laps up to Craggy, down to here, back up to Craggy, and then back home. So I'll be adding 20 miles or so onto both, onto 10 miles on each end. I've done 9.6 miles so far, so about 18 miles onto each end. I'm under a little bit of a time constraint because I have to get back in time for Matthew to do a Zoom meeting with his confirmation class. But hoping I can do pretty well. I'm not going to average 18 today, I don't think, but I'm going to be a little more conservative with my pacing. I was pretty aggressive that day just because I know it's going to be a long day on the road. It should be a little bit under 10,000 feet of climbing today and about 90 miles, maybe a little under 90. All right, so I'll probably do some narration on the bike as well, hoping that works out. Not sure if it will or not because the sound doesn't always work very well on the bike, but I'll give it a shot. So this is it. I'm hoping to do the attempt in about 2 months, taking advantage of the near the longest day of the year in terms of daylight, because that'll be important. All right. Up to Craggy for the first time. That gives me only 26.3 miles with just under 2 hours, hour 58:27 riding time. Put on a vest for the descent, and I've climbed 4,470 feet so far. I have a feeling that this might not be enough elevation gain per mile, so I might need to find a steeper climb to do. Not too steep, obviously, but steeper than this. But we'll see. I'm going to go ahead and make the descent, and then I think I'll have enough time to make another ascent, and then I'll hash it out after that. The last lap was my best lap by far. I did it in around 40 minutes, so about 4 minutes faster than the second time and about 7 minutes faster than the first time. So really good watts. Felt pretty strong, so that's always a good sign. I'm in decent shape. So now I'm just gonna head home. Not gonna go all the way down. It's a fun descent, a little tricky down Pisgah Highway, but I'm just gonna go down the Blue Ridge Parkway so that I can head on home. So, all right, successful rides for sure. Look forward to analyzing the data and see if this should be the one that I Everest on. Excellent. All right, here I am in my third location to try and scout out a good spot to do my Everesting attempt. So far, the first one, using the Blue Ridge Parkway from Folk Art Center to the top of Craggy, wasn't steep enough, and so I would have had to ridden 180 miles or so to get the 29 feet. The second one is still a possibility, the 151 Pisgah Highway, and then getting onto the Blue Ridge Parkway for the last 2 miles. It was a pretty good section, and that would be about 155, 160 miles, I think. But the Blue Ridge Parkway descent was pretty straight and good, but then the 151 descent was pretty twisty, and I couldn't keep up a lot of speed, and so that would eat up a lot of time. So I'm trying Highway 80 now from the Marion direction, although I'm not going anywhere near Marion. I'm only making a short 2 mile section from half part of the way up Highway 80 to go to the Blue Ridge Parkway, which is a nice steeper section, so I think I only need to do 135 miles to get my Everesting in, 29 feet. And I thought this was a little bit not quite as twisty. Mostly I've just climbed this. I did descend it once about 10 years ago, I think on my first Asheville camp. I did many years ago, 2010 perhaps, but actually longer ago than that. But all the other times I've always climbed it for the assault on Mount Mitchell or other Asheville camps, and it seemed a lot twistier driving up here, so I'm afraid I might not be able to keep up enough speed on the descent to make this a good one too. But no matter what, I'll get a good day of climbing in. I'm only going to ride, I think it's less than 50 miles, but 10,000 feet of climbing on this section, doing 7 laps today. So we'll see how it goes. It's beautiful no matter what. It's chilly up here though. It's in the 50s. It's 65 already, I think, in Asheville, but only in the 50s up here, a little higher up elevation. And so I'll get my vest on and that, but my car is stationed here at the top, so I can shed clothing if I need to as it warms up a little bit during the day. Okay, that was, I gotta salt my eyes there. That was it for today. I'm not sure if that'll be the best segment for Everesting or not. I'll try it out. I'm still just a touch under 10,000 feet, but I'll go down this little hill and go back on the parkway and get my 10,000 feet in for the day. So I'll go back and look at the numbers and see. I felt great. I did 22 watts more on the last lap than I did in the second last lap. Negative split everything, so yeah, I feel fine. I'm in good shape. But just got to figure out what's the best Everesting segment and then go for it. Okay, it's June 15th, Dean, my brother's birthday, and I'm going to do my Everesting on June 19th. So I've been thinking about this for about, I don't know, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, maybe a little bit longer, ever since the COVID-19 situation has shut down a lot of the races. And I thought I should do an Everesting. That sounds like something fun to do. And since then, a lot of other people have done it as well, including people setting records. And Lachlan Morton is the most recent person to take over the record for it. I'm not going for any records. I want to do a decent time and a good climb. So I've tested out a bunch of things around here in the Asheville area. And the trick is finding something that's fairly straight, but a little bit steep, but for me, not too steep. So I've tied a parkway segment, a segment on Pisgah Highway 151 up to the Parkway, looked at a bunch of them on Strava, and I think I've settled on the one, or I have settled on the one that's on Highway 80, so a ways out of Marion towards the Parkway, and the last 3.4 miles from the Parkway, from 3.4 miles from the Parkway to the Parkway on Highway 80. So it's not that straight of a climb. It is shaded, which will be great because it's supposed to be in the 80s on Friday, and maybe some thunderstorms, so hopefully I don't get rained on too much. But it is about 31 mile an hour descent, not anywhere near what Lachlan did in the 50 mile an hour range, I think, going downhill, and other people as well. But it should be, a much prettier climb than what they're doing, and taking a little bit longer. I'm thinking 12 and a half, 13 hours total time, including about a half hour stoppage time. So if that increases, then they'll certainly make it go longer. So that it's an 8.1% average grade. That'd be 136 miles total. And if I keep my time average 7 miles an hour on the climb, which is about 217 watts for me, which is pretty doable, but this is a really long ride, and 30 minutes of rest, then it would be 12 and a half hours. So we'll see how it goes. I'm going to try and enjoy the climb. It's a beautiful climb. And like I said, it's shaded, which will help with mitigating the heat a little bit. And if it rains, it's not too technical of a descent that I would really be in trouble with things. But I'm going to give it my best shot, enjoy the adventure, hopefully. I've been training some. I did, several 7+ hour, 12,000 foot climbing days recently in the last couple of weeks. So I think, I did a 7 lap test. This will be 20 laps for me, or 21, I'm not sure. I sent a message because the Everesting calculator says 20 laps will complete the distance. But in my 7 lap test, my Garmin showed that to be a little bit under reporting the mileage that is on the Strava segment, which means I should do 21 laps just to make sure that I get the 29,029 feet in to complete the Everesting. So I sent them a message saying, should I trust the Everesting calculator and the Strava segment or my Garmin? I think they're going to say test the calculating program with the Strava segment, but so it'll be 20 or 21 laps. But I felt great on the 7 lap one I did. It was over 10,000 feet, so a little more than a third of the climbing and a third of the distance, but only a third. So feeling good then and actually doing it on Friday might be two different things. But hey, I'm going to give it a shot. So I've seen people talk about the bike they're going to use for the Everesting, so I thought I'll show you mine. This is my Max Lally. I think it's like a 2007 model, so it's pretty old, has probably over 100,000 miles on it. It's as set up here, 16.5 pounds, I think, so not too heavy. I've got a semi-compact, so 3652 in front here, and 1128 in back. So I think that gearing should be fine. Like I said, I've done a 7-lap test, and I at one point thought maybe I could use 30 in back, which that derailleur can't handle. But then as I rode more and more, I think it was fine. So hopefully I'll be good. I'm using my race wheels, sew-ups, these Reynolds lightweight sew-up climbing wheels, just to be as light as possible. And of course I'll bring spares too in case I flap. And I'm actually going to run with lights, so I'm going to run with the Garmin rear light here, just because I am on open roads, so I want to be really careful with that. I'm going to do no saddlebag because I'm going to have the sew-ups, but I am going to run with the Fix-A-Flat too, the Victoria Fix-A-Flat. I'm actually going to run 2 Garmin computers, I think, too, because you never know. I've had rides where I've lost all my data, and this is one ride where I don't want to lose my data. So I'm going to have the 530 and the 1030 there, just to be safe, to make sure I've got everything recorded well. And I'm going to run this front light here as well, just because it's an open road again, and I want to make sure people see me. I don't want to have any altercations. So yeah, it's a good setup, I think. I'm very comfortable with this bike. This is my bike that I normally ride, and it may be old, but it's certainly trustworthy, and again, I'm very comfortable with it, and I think that it'll be the right machine for the job.